In Hell Let Loose, it's no secret that tanks are often a defining factor in combat. However, when a tank meets another tank in the battlefield, I found that there can be some pretty large inconsistencies when it comes to who kills who fastest. Whether it be Shermans taking more rounds than they should, or Panthers dying in one hit. Let's figure out why there seems to be so much randomness. Starting with the biggest of the tanks, the Pz.Kpfw, we can reasonably expect it to make short work of this Sherman. Targeting the turret seems to result in an instant kill, as long as you take care to avoid hitting the barrel. Unfortunately for the Americans, the Sherman doesn't catch a break too easily. Any other shot to the front of the tank will result in an ammo detonation on the first round. Except for the tracks, which will take 2 rounds before the tank detonates. Finally, as can be expected, the rest of the Sherman has less protection on its sides and rear. It will only take a single round. Next up is the Stuart. Curiously, the Stuart is able to take 1 more hit to the turret than the Sherman, but it's still as vulnerable in any other area besides the tracks. Now that the Tiga has been fed, let's look at the Panther. Under no circumstances should you ever target the center mass of a Sherman turret. Here's a sped up clip of me emptying 9 AP rounds into a Sherman and doing no damage. Now we can start to see where some of the confusion comes from. Luckily for the Panther, the Sherman has a huge weakness just below the turret. It's the best choice for a single shot kill. But if that's not possible, 2 rounds on the turret to the left or right side of the barrel, or alternatively, the tracks, will result in a kill. This is because most rounds in the middle or lower body of the tank will bounce. Another good spot to aim for is the lower plating on the tank, but it's a risky shot because rounds often bounce at even the slightest angle. It's also noteworthy that almost any flanking shot except for ones on the turret will result on an instant kill, so aim for the body when flanking a Sherman. Now against the Sherman's little brother. This tank stands no chance. Oddly, this little thing can survive an extra shot to the turret, however a single round to any part of the body will kill it. Onto the Pz.Kpfw and Luchs. I'll make this one quick. Against Shermans, you will never penetrate anything, so please stop shooting at them. Stuarts, however, are vulnerable to the Luchs 20mm cannon. About 6 rounds into the tracks, or 3 into the rear, will destroy your target. With all the German tanks complete, now it's time to take a look at the American ones. We are going to start with the Stuart against the Big Cat first, because there's something really interesting here. From the front, with a 37mm cannon, a Stuart is capable of destroying a Tiger. 4 to 5 rounds directly into the tracks is the only place a Stuart can frontally assault a Tiger with success. Perhaps less exciting, but if you can get 4 rounds into the rear body of a Tiger, it will also detonate it. For the Luchs, it looks like it may have an advantage. Its American counterpart seems able to kill it in 3 to 4 hits to any side. Against the Panther, the Stuart's in bad shape. Your best bet is to target the tracks on the front or the side, and to get around the tank for a rear shot into the middle of its body. Shermans, on the other hand, fare much better against a Panther. Panthers share the same weakness as Shermans do, in that the turret is a one-hit kill as long as you avoid the barrel. If that isn't possible, your next best bet is to engage the tracks of the Panther, where 2 shells will destroy the target. For the Tiger, it's all rather predictable. Again, the tracks will destroy it, this time in 3 hits, and the only other targetable area is the sides and rear of the tank, which will take 2 hits to destroy. Note that the turret is impenetrable, no matter the side. And for our final tank, we come back to the poor Luchs. Pretty much any shot at this thing will destroy it in 2 hits. I didn't bother to test it any more than that, because this thing really isn't a threat to anything bigger than a Kubelwagen. With all the tanks in the game done, that leaves us with just a couple other things I found while testing. HE shells do not do damage against tanks. When a shell ricochets, it makes a different sound, something kind of like an oil drum being dropped or hit with a rock. Range does not affect damage, and that ricochets are still live rounds and can explode or hit another target after bouncing. Since we just went through a lot of info, here's some handy diagrams that will hopefully remind you where to aim in a pinch. Just remember that it's always better to try and flank rather than face a tank head on.